Hello.
Remember Matt's name, the fellow, it's got the large name. Corwin. Corwin,
C-O-R behind.
W-I-N.
Which one is Corwin?
Matt, the guy that was
Okay, yeah.
asking for the parking spaces.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, he stopped looking.
How about you? Another minute or so, we'll get started. People online hear me okay on the Zoom call? No reply. Thought I did, right? Okay, I guess we're close enough to get started. I'm Tom Johns, and the chairman of the zoning committee for the village. With us today, we have Steve, Lori, Sue, Mark, Lynn, and our secretary, Linda. Since we have a full set today, you'll be ad hoc, so you can ask questions, but not vote at this point. We have two issues today. One is a variance and one is a revisit of a existing variant. So we're going to start with the new one, Scott Dangle. Scott, are you there? I think I see your image.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Let me just the way we do this, Scott, is I'll read your proposal. At that point, you can tell us what you want to do and why you can't live with the zoning rules the way they are in the village, and what your need is. And then after you tell us that, we'll open it to public comment. And then when public comment is over, the board will discuss the issues and hopefully come up with a decision for you tonight. So let me read this first, and then I'll ask you to carry on. This is
Okay.
This is for a variance, and this is at 8257 South Shore Road. And this is a new building, or actually replacement of an existing building. He'd like to create a 22 by 28 foot building, which is 616 square foot, 2-bedroom apartment, where 800 square feet is required by zoning. So this has to do with the 190-11 density control on the lot and 190-17, the minimum living space. So with that, Scott, why don't you tell us what you want to do and why?
Well, the garage needs redone. The bottom of it's all rotted apart from just water coming down from that stream behind. So I want to raise it up, put it a couple rows of block up a little higher, and then just taking advantage of the rebuild, thinking we can add a second story to it and extend our living space there a little bit from when we have family and friends up. Basically, we was originally looking at 2-bedroom. They told me that square footage might not accommodate that, so I got them redrawn it as a 1-bedroom. Thinking we can do 1-bedroom and maybe a pull-out couch in the living area or something like that, just for overflow. And we have friends up, family up, what have you.
Okay. I mean, I understand this is that was an ask in planning, I guess, right?
Yeah.
2 bedrooms to
Yeah.
1, because it is a pretty good ask to go to 800 square feet when it's only 600. Okay, if that's your proposal, then we'll open it to public comment at this point, and we'll probably get back to you with some more questions as we go along. So we'll start live.
Okay.
We'll start live. If anybody has a public comment on what Scott would like to do. Yes, go
I
ahead.
just have a question. So Scott said that there'd be a change of elevation. And you already said that there's a lot of runoff now. If there's a greater slope, is that going to increase the runoff into the neighbor's yard? So I did take a look at the application. There's some sandbags and things down there. So I just wanted to ask that question.
I think that we'll let him answer it, but I think what he's basically saying is he wants to get up a couple blocks so he doesn't have wood rot on the side like he in the existing situation. Is that correct, or is that what I'm assuming, Scott?
Yeah, they built on the right on top of the slab when they originally built the garage, and they put the wood right down on the slab, sidings right down ground level. So what we want to do is increase it by 1 or 2 row of block, and also, you know, raise the pad up like 8 to 10 inches. I do know that there's supposedly money they're going to look into that drainage maybe in the spring or this summer. I was informed a while back, but regardless, I'd like to get it up out of, you know, any existing water that comes down through that. It don't happen often. It's when we have major storms we get that rush, but it comes down through there pretty good.
All right, but you're gonna lift the pad to get away from that. Okay.
Yeah, we'll pour a whole new pad, you know, raised up 8 to 10 inches higher.
Okay. Any other live questions? Questions from the audience here? No. Okay, then we'll go to Zoom. Any questions from our Zoom audience about Scott's proposal? Right. I did have one complaint. Person did not want to identify themselves, but they were afraid that it may change the character of the neighborhood, if especially with the parking issues. Most of them are garages there, but they did not want to name themselves, so it's an anonymous complaint at this point. Nobody else on Zoom wants to discuss it.
I know we discussed that the last time, and you know, I can park 1 inside and still park 3 in my driveway. We've done that. I won't have any more people there ever than I've had in the past. I think once or twice we've had to park a vehicle up at the overflow. But but outside of that, it's not going to increase the number of cars there.
Okay. A couple of other latecomers, did you want to comment on the Dangle proposal? No, okay. Okay, then, since nobody on Zoom wants to comment, we'll close it to public comment and discuss it amongst ourselves. I guess as you heard, planning suggested that it go to 1 bedroom instead of 2. That puts him more in compliance with the footage requirement. Because before it was 800, he was only at 616.
1 bedroom is 675 square
Right.
feet.
Yeah, so it gets him a lot closer.
Scott, is it on the existing footprint of the existing garage? Smaller, bigger?
It looks like he muted himself. Scott, can you come back on mute? You there, Scott? It's my understanding, according to when I talked to Kevin.
I am. Can you guys hear me?
Go ahead. The question was, is it on the same exact footprint as the existing garage?
Yep, same exact. The existing garage is 22 by 28.
Okay. And I don't see anywhere, maybe I missed it, but I don't see anywhere how much space is there between the existing garage and the lot lines?
There's not much. I have like maybe 1.5 foot, 2 foot around the whole building.
Okay,
I still think the parking's an issue. You know,
Okay.
gutters on the roofs, where's the water gonna? Okay, I see it.
Well, there isn't any existing gutters on the house or the garage now. I wouldn't be opposed to putting them on though.
And what I couldn't read the height of the numbers on these things, and when I blew it up, what's the total height of the building?
I don't really know. It's 8-foot ceiling on both. We got 16 plus foot for the main floor, plus another 6 foot. So you got 16, 17, roughly 21 feet, I'm guessing.
That's got to be taller than that. That
Yeah.
would be the sidewall, probably the sidewall height before the pitch.
Right, before the roof. Yeah, I'd like to know, is Kevin's not here tonight?
Kevin is supposed to be on the phone.
I'm on the call. I'm just getting to a spot where I can look up the number for you.
I couldn't read it on our copies, and I couldn't, when I tried to blow it up online, I still couldn't read it.
Kevin, are we going to have a fireproof wall between it and the existing garage?
Yeah, because it's too close to the side and it's a residential structure. I have the original copies, so I can pull those up. Just give me 1 second. I'm about to pull up my driveway.
And Kevin, do you know what the density is right now of the building on that property?
Yeah, it's 80%. When I calculated, it was like just over 80%. I think it's 8.75% between the two when I added them up. Because it's a hooked property, so it was the one across the road plus that one. If you want just that one, I can do that, but I did the one across the road with that one.
Yeah, I was actually wondering what it was just on that side of the road.
Yeah, I can recalculate just that side if you want.
If we're going up a couple blocks, the driveway's gonna have to climb up 2 feet, so there's gonna be runoff from the driveway, right? It's gotta go somewhere. And there is a large grate on the northwest corner of the drive, but that's sort of in the road, it's right on the edge of the garage and the roadway.
Mhm. Yeah, I know they've had water in
Yeah.
the past.
Yeah, there's several courses of sandbags in back there. It might be in back of the neighbor, but I also was wondering about whether is that a garage door that you have in the plan? Is that
Yeah, it's a 10-foot door. Currently there's a 16-foot on the one we have now.
and the balcony, the proposed balcony is covered, right?
Yes.
Yes.
With the balcony, according to this, the balcony will be 25 feet off the road. And 122 feet off the road in the other corner.
The road is very narrow there, and people drive pretty fast up and down over that hill a lot of times. So. Very.
I mean, I have like 20 feet from the garage to the road now on the short side, and probably close to 22 to 23 on the long side.
It's 17 to the underside of the roof, and then it's a 12/6. So I think it's going to be another 6 feet. So it's going to be 23.5. So if we round it up to be 24, looks like for the roof height. And then for the lot coverage, let me give you the lot coverage. And you want just that side, Lori? You don't want both combined?
Yeah, that side, yeah.
Okay.
Also in the drawing, I think you've got north and south interchanged. Then you show the north elevation as being where the two windows are, but don't you mean that to be the south elevation?
Yeah, I think I addressed that with the architect. He was supposed to change it. He might not have.
Yeah, and the south elevation shows the deck and the garage opening and stuff, so that you mean that to be the north.
Yeah.
Look at the plans.
I mean, it's the east and west are wrong too.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
Steve, we're waiting for the lot density. Have you got any concerns?
No, not other than what people had mentioned. I like it better than say it's okay with the one thing.
Good. Mark?
Same with the one bedroom.
Okay. Lynn, you're concerned about parking?
Yeah.
The studio requires 550 square feet, so that he's closer to the studio size than he is really. The one bedroom is 675, so.
Sorry, Wi-Fi kicked down when I got home. It's 35%, Lori, on just that one. Just that one lot.
It's 35% for that.
It's a 1,740 square foot lot on just that side. And it's a 1,660 square foot if it's, let me do the math again, 22 by 28, 1616.
Right.
So it's 17. So
With
it's
only
16.
Yeah, I mean,
35 on that one.
Doesn't make any sense. If he's only got a, What are two?
100% covered.
he's only got a foot or two on each side,
Yeah.
and he's only got 20 feet in front and less than that in the back. Couple of feet in the back, the neighbors, so.
Going right off the tax map, so it's 60 by 29 is what I show. Is that what
Yeah.
you guys show? Yeah,
yeah.
60 by 29. So
Yeah.
that's 1,740. So
Yeah,
then
except that he's short 3 feet on the west side. So it's
Okay.
not full, it's not a full square. He's
Okay.
short feet on the. So it'd really be 57 feet on.
you say it's 57 feet on that side?
Well, yeah, it's short by 3 feet from what he shows in his plot drawing. He
So
shows
even if I give
20
him, if I give the village a benefit of doubt on that, it's 38% on that.
Okay.
For just that side. That doesn't include the other side at all.
What is the, how wide is the right of way for the road on either side of,
Well, this is the narrow road. This is it's the narrow one in the village.
Mhm.
yeah,
I think that's the section I don't have a number for because it just gets to a narrow portion. Like if you look at the tax map, I don't think I actually have a number right there for that. So that'd be a Brad question, like highway foreman, because he'd have to look at the road map.
yeah, this is just so narrow.
It's just hard to think about letting somebody build something that close to the road when we turn down the people on 8th Street and made Thurley's move away from the street.
But it's not a new structure, though. I have a building there already that is exactly the same size.
Right, but you're asking to go up, which will increase the number of people on the property.
Well, like I say, it's just gonna be for family and friends. It's the same people I've had there. We've had the same cars there. We've had to use the overflow a couple times, but
Well, a parking space requirement in code is 10 by 20. So there's only 2 spaces. You know, because you've got, the lot is 29 feet wide. But it's not 30. So,
Theoretically, you have 30 because he's got a single family garage too.
so he could have 3 in yeah,
And three qualified parking spots.
yeah.
Okay, well, let's get started here. Someone want to make a motion to accept Scott's proposal as advertised and creating a 22 by 28 2-bedroom apartment. It's 616 square feet when 800 required. Can I have a motion to accept that?
I'll make a motion that we accept it as
Proposed.
proposed. Thank you.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor of the proposal as advertised and as applied for initially, say aye. All against, nay?
Nay.
Okay, so Scott, the initial 2-bedroom proposal's been denied.
okay.
Well, I guess our next step is somebody feel that we should propose a 1-bedroom apartment of the garage.
I'll make that motion.
So Steve's gonna make that.
I'll second that.
Okay. That's okay, all in favor of a 1-bedroom apartment in a 22 by 28 foot garage on the existing footprint with the with drainage, proper drainage and fireproofing between that and the existing building. Go in favor of that, say yay.
Yeah,
One yay. Anybody against that, say nay.
Nay.
Okay. We were turned down on the one bedroom, Scott, at this point.
I'd like to see the proper drainage. I'd like to know how the water's gonna get drained away. The driveway from the roof. So that we know it's not gonna. What's it gonna do to the garage that's this far away from it?
Mhm.
What's it gonna do to that guy's driveway? Water runs off. If the water comes down that back hill. or Down South Shore. And. It's the raised driveway, then it goes. Back in Justina's basement, where does it go?
Well, Scott, at this point, we've turned down your 1 and 2 bedroom proposal. There's some concerns about parking and concerns about drainage. So if you'd like to reapply, I guess those would be the concerns that I would look at and come to us with a more concrete proposal.
Well, my thing is, we have an overflow parking there to begin with, right up over the hill.
Okay,
It's there for South Shore Road. So like I said, if we have more than a couple cars to put there, we would go to the overflow parking. We've done it in the past.
okay,
As far as drainage goes, it's no different than what I'm dealing with now. They're gonna propose, supposedly they got some money, they're gonna look into it, but they gotta somehow increase the size of the pipes or do something, whether they just need cleaned out or I have no idea, but it's not gonna change that.
well, when you say they, you mean the village? Or do you-
Yeah, I talked to the mayor last fall about it.
Well, at this point, we're not comfortable with doubling the size of the building with a given runoff in that area. So like I say, if you want to come back with a different proposal, that's up to you. But currently, we've turned down your existing proposal.
Okay,
All right,
all right, good enough.
okay. The second issue tonight is a revisiting of Mr. Leone's shed. And let me just go through this for a minute before we get started. This was first proposed to add a 12 by 16 shed from the neighbor's property onto his property, 1 foot from the rear setback where 12.5 is required, and 1 foot from the front property line where 25 feet is required, and 5 feet from the side property line where 12.5 feet is required. And that was, let's see, that was back on 4/18 of 22. At that point, we approved it with the idea that this was the neighboring shed. I think everybody's seen that, right? That was the neighboring shed that was going to be moved. At that point, I think the neighbor wanted to build a bigger shed and have either a rental or a property to live in when she rented her cottage. And we denied that. So that building, I assume subsequently never got moved. We have since then built a shed according to an architect's plan in that same location. And a drawing or something. Change what there. Basically, it's the building that stands there today, which if we compare is a little different than the one we were going to move. So that's the reason that we're revisiting this. The new one is a little more, I would say a little more grandiose with better windows, a garage door, and what appears to be an upper deck. Very similar foot plan, but which much larger or taller, more grandiose than the one that was planned. So at this point, it's a review of what we approved to see if it fits what was approved. We have a stop work order on it. Kevin issued that a month or so ago, and we've delayed this a couple times due to either attendance on our group or Mr. Leon's attendance. So, Bill, do you want to take a couple minutes to tell us what happened between the old building and the new building and why the difference in design?
The design is relatively the same. We made it a little taller, but it's still a single slope roof. It still has four windows in it. It still has a main door in it. I added a garage door, which caused me to raise the one side up higher than the slant on the other roof, on the one that we're gonna move. Other than that, we just tried to make it look nice. That's it. Kevin, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here.
What's the max height in the waterfront commercial district?
In Waterfront Commercial District,
Yeah, what's the maximum height you can go to the building?
35 feet, but we start measuring it floodplain depending on where it is.
Okay, what's first floor elevation for floodplain? Where is that required to be?
So if it's not for storage or parking, then it's 249 on Greg Street. It's 249 plus 2 feet, so 251, and then you get the 35 feet after that.
My first floor is 250.5. So that's part of the illusion that it's taller than it is the fact that and we tried to raise it up because that area flooded in 17 and so because of the illusion that it's taller than it actually is. I mean, we actually probably should raise it another 6 inches the first time for the floor. Because that's, for stuff that it's holding, that's going to need some cheese or flooding pumps, equipment to assist shoreline people, nuts, bolts, thing for the, basic support equipment for the marina and the dock. We're trying to clean up the frontage there and put all the welding equipment, everything sitting outside in the shed. And actually drove the garage door was the welding stayed there. In order to fork that into there, we needed that height and that door to get it in. We're trying to clean up the water, so the footprint's the same. It's a little taller. I think the other building was 9.6, and I think we're maybe 10.6 from the deck to the top. We could raise the grade and backfill sleepers that are underneath it. Which, the village actually had a grant application in to raise that parking lot up, and they were going to put a berm along the property line between me and the federal right away there. It was 18 inches higher than what's there right now. They're going to raise the grade 18 inches. So if anything, we're a little low.
Okay. What is the purpose for the fenced-in roof? Is that?
A lot of it was aesthetics, and we were framing it. It was just something that came about lately, so we the best time to have a railing system, because I'm dealing with the railing system on the main building right now, because I have to the back is when you're framing that roof. So
So you currently have no way to get there.
no, I don't plan on doing anything in the near future, but maybe something. I like to plan ahead, whether I'm putting additional conduit in the ground between buildings before I pour concrete in. I always, if it's wise money spent up front versus having to tear something apart to add it later, I like to do that. So I don't know, is it the height that's the issue? What's the,
Well, I think, when you go from what we approved to move to what we got, it's like night and day, and I think that's where the stop order came. Because it
I wouldn't
just,
say it's night and day. I mean, it's still a single slope road. It's 12 by 16. It's got 4 windows. I said if she didn't do it, then maybe I'd like to be able to stick frame this building. I wasn't given a height requirement, I was under the assumption that that it's 35 foot waterfront commercial is coming just verified, so. I'm not gonna put a crappy shed.
I understand that. All I'm saying, Phil, is that this is about the only stop work order we've had in a long time. So there's a difference between what we thought we were getting and what we got. So that's why we're here, to discuss that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still the same footprint, and we're talking maybe about 12 inches here, which, I mean, the average US man is 5'9" tall, the average woman is 5'4". So once you're over either of those limits, what are we really talking about?
Okay.
It's
All right. At this point,
I mean, the grade needs to come up. The first one, I mean, it's we're literally talking about maybe a foot. That other shed was gonna have to get sleepers under it. It was gonna have to get probably joist replaced because it sits lower. I didn't get under there. I mean, we weren't gonna know until we excavated, slid some beams under it and jacked the thing up. I mean, that other shed would be as tall as this one. No problem.
this is a very scenic and sensitive view area. So that's one of the reasons we're here talking about.
I own 330 foot of waterfront there, which this is taking up 12 foot.
Okay. All right. This one we have discussed before, so we will allow very limited public input. If anybody wants to, at this point, make a comment, anybody in the room, go ahead.
So I attended the first meeting just because the elderly are people coming in, I'm always concerned about building on the waterfront.
Mhm.
I didn't make a comment because according to everything that was submitted, it was 7'6" one height and 9'6". And there was a comment made that it was gonna kind of look like the building that was next door. I think there was some discussion about that. And, to me, a shed doesn't have a roof deck and windows and a garage. Well, maybe it has a garage door. It doesn't look like a shed. So what I wanted to comment again, okay, because I didn't comment the last time, because I didn't think it was a big deal. I do think it's a big deal right now. And it is, I read the minutes. There was nothing in the minutes that said anything about a new building. Tom, I went to you as soon as that started, and I'm just concerned about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Bob?
Yeah, I just have a concern. Number one, I think it's also smoke and mirrors on your part. I'm pulling over your eyes here. But has anyone taken into consideration that shoreline about parking? So he's taking up parking spaces that he's supposed to have for his slips. Okay. Now, does anyone enforce any of that parking along the shoreline there? Because parking is an issue, and according to my knowledge, if the docks and moorings law is still in effect, he needs parking spots for all of his slips, which he doesn't use at this point. He uses public parking. He charges for parking on the shoreline. I'm just wondering if you're taking any of that into consideration.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Joanne. I also had a concern. Adjacent to the shed are 2 large trailers that are taking up significant space. Perhaps they're construction trailers during construction, or are they going to be adjacent to the shed also? And they're blocking not only parking, but view.
Okay.
I can answer that. The stop work order prevented me from storing anything in the building, so the stuff that would be in the building are in those trailers. Upon hopefully an approval tonight, the trailers will finish the roof. And the trailers will be removed, but they will not be on site.
Okay, anybody else on Zoom? Like to make a comment?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Corey, go ahead.
Yep. So I guess maybe I'm confused. Phil was originally approved to take an old shed that sounds like it was in lack of better shape. He was approved to move a shed that is old to where he has this current shed. And instead of moving an old shed that's rotted, he decided to build a new shed, the exact same size, that's nicer and better. And you guys are saying no, because it's better? It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, thanks for the comment. Anyone else?
Kevin, just one more thing, something Phil said, and it just dawned on me, because I really did think you guys were getting useful. He said, well, you know, there might be some day that I might want to do something different there. And he's got a good point, because the variance goes with the property. And so there might be some day that he might want to take down that shed and put up a little tiny house or something different. I just want you to consider that.
He'd have to come to us, so I'm not too worried about that.
And just one more thing, I just want to add, he was the lead spearhead on Don't Take Our View, so just another comment.
I have another one here, a written one, and this one, they would like read. This is from Mark Wallinghorst at 7543 Bay Street. And he says, my letter is regarding the storage shed to Mr. Leon's building and the property in Leon Landing. We have direct line of view from our house to the bay. We do not see an issue with the shed blocking our view. There's another garage that is not nearly as aesthetically pleasing, as well as the very large poplar tree, the Bradford pear trees, and the line of public parking lot that block the bay. It's my understanding that Mr. Leon's shed is going to be used as a place to store tools and equipment, making his property more organized. I have only seen great improvements at Leon's Landing and looking forward to more. Simply my opinion, but my opinion, these codes and laws that everyone must follow. Thank you for your time. Mark Wallinghorst. Okay, we'll close the public comment then and discuss it amongst ourselves. And I guess what our issue is tonight is what we thought it was going to be when we approved the movement. We did go, I would say, exceptionally close to the property lines when we did this, with the idea that it would be next to the island garage that was there and wouldn't be a big change to the neighborhood. And I guess that's our issue. Is it too much more than what we thought we were going to have? You know, we've got a lot of options. Can we have him modify it? Or can we leave it the way it is? So we've got things we can do, and that's why we're reviewing this. So, opinions?
Yeah, I think it's a better building than what was gonna be there. Yeah, maybe it sticks out right now because it's fresh wood. It's got the stakes up that could end up being a deck. But he's still adhering to the variance that we gave him for the other building. He doesn't need a variance for height. He's allowed to do that. Height wise doesn't hurt anybody's view. But we're not looking up at the sky, we're looking out at the bay. So whether it's 9'6" or whether it's 11 feet, really matter in terms of the view. Like Mr. Longhorse said, it's next to the other shed. There's a big tree there. There's whatever those pear trees are, and a parking lot full of cars. I understand that he probably should have come and said, I'm going to do this instead of that. What do we need to do, Kevin? But he didn't, and went ahead and did what he did. But I don't think it really, in my view, it doesn't really change it.
Okay. Anybody else with an opinion?
Well, I want to say something. I would have liked to have had the opportunity to review and vote on what we do see that was built as opposed to what we were told would be done. I agreed that the applicant needed a shed and hoped that the area could get cleaned up a bit and organized. But we were given specific dimensions in the application. He wrote in the dimensions and that's what we voted on. He stated that no utilities would be run into the building. And he gave us pictures as to what it would look like. Now, the minutes that were recorded said that that was what he was asking for, and nothing in the minutes were captured about what we now see. He signed the permit. Is the building permit is supposed to show the plot map, the tax map, the drawings of the proposed building or structure, photographs of the proposed site and or structure and other information. So that presumably would have been what we approved, but again, Kevin signed the permit, and what we got was not what we agreed to. And I think that he did it willfully, and I think that he could have very well asked us for that beautiful building, and we might have said yes, but I don't believe that we should say yes now.
Okay, Steve?
I have a procedural question. Was the variance exercised within a year from the date it was issued?
Well, we issued on 4/18.
I have the 25th, but it's a week.
Oh, maybe, well, this, I'm sorry, yeah,
I don't think it's
probably a week later, maybe Kevin signed it.
The permit was signed on 8/23/2022.
So,
So, yeah,
He
he
started
way
well
before, yeah, before the year was up.
Mark, concerns?
My concern is precedence. I can build a house, but in the course of building the house, I decide I'm gonna change it. I'm just gonna change it. And I change it. And I come back and I say, I started building and it's better now. Not that you approved this, because what we approved and what's being built are two very different things. Very different things. But I'm worried about precedent. What does it say to everyone else? I didn't do it. Right?
Well, we're seeing that happening all, more than one time with fences and.
So that's how. I just see it as a precedence.
Well, it's what the stop work order did. And if you're building a house, Kevin comes and checks on it along the way. Shed, I guess he probably doesn't have to. I don't know.
When it deviates immensely from the original approved plan, that should have been stopped right at the beginning.
And it said per plot drawing, right on the permit, the building permit.
So I'm not worried about height and all that kind of stuff. I'm worried about precedent. I don't agree with what the zoning board said, so I'm gonna build what I want.
Lynn?
I tend to agree with Lori and Susie. And I'm stuck on a fence right now. Certainly, we've seen in the past where people have done things that they weren't supposed to do. And it really ticked us off. I think I wish he would have come to us so that we could give the approval or not give the approval. Yet the gravity of what's there isn't that bad. It's kind of like precedent.
So then the next one that comes along and builds it a much bigger thing,
Right.
we consider the gravity of that when it costs $200,000. Oh, well, look how far they are.
remember, the variance goes with the property, so it, you know, you say that we would have to, they would have to come back to, if they changed it, but the fact is that it could be changed because we gave the precedence for the variance already.
So what could he change without the variance? We've just already said no utilities. I mean, the footprint's not gonna get any bigger. Can't put a stairway on the outside of it. I mean, I'm thinking a balcony or whatever it is. I mean, it's gotta come back for whatever he's gonna do. I think. I mean, you can't live there. It's not big enough for somebody to sleep in. I don't know what. You know, it's kind of like big property in the end of Second Street. You got so many neighbors watching this. Nothing's gonna get by without somebody coming in. But I don't see how we can make it bigger or more grandiose without more trouble. Another stop work order, you know what I'm saying?
Or put a second story on.
You'd have
What
to
do you
go
have to-
back.
What's the alternative?
I mean, it's just like this gentleman we just had. I mean, he could put a second. Theoretically, if you tried to put a second story, even on the existing garage, we'd stop that. The same thing here. You know, we approved a shed of a certain size. It's maybe a couple feet taller because of the water flooding issues and things like that. But to say you can start building a second story or even put a stairway to the first story or the roof of it isn't approved. So
Well, that's a question I have too, is that, so the observation deck will have fencing around it, so that raises the height of the building even more than what it is. So if it's 10 feet or, so what did you say? It was gonna be probably, you said only like a foot more, so the height of the other building was 9.6, so you were saying 10, maybe 10.6, but that's another 4 feet, because those posts are 4 feet tall, so you put, you know, so that now you're looking at more than 4 feet higher.
all right, what I need, I guess, is a proposal to allow Phil to continue the building as is. Somebody will make that proposal.
I'll make it forward.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's all in favor of allowing Phil to continue to build or to finish the building in its existing form, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3 ayes. Nays?
Nay,
1 nay. Okay. Phil, you're approved to finish the building.
He never had any intention
Okay.
of moving that.
So we're done with public comments, please.
Never any intention.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for new business and old business. We do have minutes from the 14th to approve. And it was limited attendance that one. It was Steve, Mark, and I. And Steve made a couple corrections to these, I guess you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So you do get the vote, Mark.
And I have a question when you tell me that.
Okay, so would you like to approve the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, Steve's gonna second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Okay. So you have to be here to vote on the minutes. Correct?
Yes.
You have to be here.
You
Mhm.
had to have been here, yeah.
They have 3
I
people.
voted on this original application
Mhm.
and somebody here didn't. Shouldn't I have been able to vote on that tonight and not the person who wasn't here? And that may be a legal question, but if we can't vote on the minutes because you weren't here, you certainly shouldn't be able to vote on an application that you didn't hear the original presentation.
Kevin, you have an answer for that one?
Well, I want to hear from a lawyer in writing. 'Cause
Yeah, I just texted the lawyer because that has to come from the lawyer because that's over my head. I don't even know how to answer that one. I just texted him to see if he can come back on. Hold on.
And what's interesting, I have never heard of this minutes rule in my entire life until I got to Sodas Point. So maybe that's a rule that you have here, but it only makes sense.
Matthew's back online if you want to ask it again, and if you want to ask him.
Matthew, are you there? I've never met Matthew.
I am here, but I did not hear your question because I had left the
Okay.
meeting.
Right now, in the Grand Duchy of Sodas Point, in order to approve minutes, you have to have attended the meeting where the minutes happened, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so tonight, I was not able to vote as I'm ad hoc. But I did vote on the original application a year and a half ago. And somebody here didn't hear that presentation and did get to vote on it. It doesn't make sense to me. You can't have it both ways. You can't approve minutes, but you can't approve applications.
What? Okay, so hold on. Are you talking about approving the minutes from the last ZBA meeting?
No, Matt, we brought in, this is Tom Johns, we put a stop work order on a variance that we approved that he's talking about.
Right, Phil Leones.
Yes, and
Right.
then we reheard the case tonight
Mhm.
on whether we should allow him to continue to build per his current build, or whether
Yep.
we should stop him because it had some differences to the original variance that we issued.
Yep.
So that's Mark's question. If he voted on the original variance because he was ad hoc and we needed him that night. Tonight, when we reheard his case on the stop work order, we didn't need his vote because we had a full quorum. So his question is, shouldn't he have been allowed to vote on the rehearing since he was allowed to vote on the original hearing?
No, it's whatever the board is tonight. So if you have a full board already tonight and it's the regular board, you don't need an alternate, then that's who votes tonight.
Okay, that's the question. All right, thank you, Matt.
Okay, you guys all set if I sign off again?
I think so.
Okay.
We know where
thank
you live.
Yeah. All right, take care, everyone. Have a good night.
All right.
I have a
Bye.
question. You talked about stairs to the deck. If he just needs a building permit to add stairs, if there's no variance required, so if he puts the stairs on the side where there's not a variance, so on the south side.
Can I ask a favor of the board?
Yeah.
So is Phil still in the audience?
No,
It's not fair to the applicant to talk about his application. If you have general questions, just ask me general questions. So like if you have a question about stairs or anything, just ask me general questions. Just 'cause it's not fair to the applicant or anyone. So like if we're singling out like Mr. Dangle or anyone, I just want to be, just ask me general questions. So like if you have a question about the stairs, I can answer it.
Okay, so if somebody's gonna add stairs to a building that they're not in a place that needs a variance, they just need a building permit. If I want to put, if I happen to have a second floor balcony off the back of my house, off of a bedroom, and I decide I want to add stairs so that I can get in and out from my yard to my second floor balcony, I would need a building permit, I presume, to do that. But I wouldn't need a variance, so I wouldn't have to come to the zoning board. Am I right or not?
So you're saying the stairs wouldn't be in a place that need a variance?
Yeah, if they weren't too close to a property line.
Okay. Yeah, if it was something, it would need a building permit. I'd have to look at the structure to see what's getting changed on the structure itself.
Okay.
Like, is the use getting changed? Are they building something up top? What are they doing? And then, so like what TJ said earlier with, a different application or different, whenever we have to look at how the variance is, like when you build on an existing footprint for example, we only give you an allowance to go up a half a story, and that's so that you can raise a structure or bring it out of the flood elevation. We don't let you do a whole nother story just because you're allowed. So like in a residential zone, you're allowed 30 feet. That doesn't mean that you can just go 30 feet up in the air. That's not what that means. Because if Mark, if you came in tomorrow and applied for a single story deck, and then next year built it up to 2 stories or 2.5 stories, your neighbor might get upset over that, you know, because they thought you're only doing a single story deck. So if something changes, then that's something that would be reviewed.
Okay, so I build my deck, not gonna have
Yep.
any power on it. And I run an extension cord, fill it with lights.
Are utilities run to your deck?
Yeah, by an extension cord from my house that now is shining into my neighbors.
Okay.
And I was in my variance, I was told I couldn't have utilities. What happens?
It would come back to, again, it would come back to this board for your interpretation of what you meant, because I have to, you guys are my boss. So like if I say this is my interpretation, you guys are the ones that oversee me. So you guys can overthrow whatever I interpret.
Kevin, old business, new business, what do we got?
I had a set of maps on the table for you guys because I wanted you to know what was going on Lake Road. I don't think you're even going to be part of that at all because it looks like everything meets the code completely. But I just wanted you guys to be aware because it is, you know, they're protecting the tree line. They're doing everything like they did with Matt Nowak subdivisions. But I just wanted you guys to be aware of it. That's Bob Urrutia.
Oh, yeah, remember, you talked about this before.
Yeah, I just wanted you guys to be aware of it. I said I would bring the maps when we had them available.
He's subdividing the lot, right?
Yep, the subdivision should be going through now. He got his final approval. It's a full-size lot, and that's where the house placement potentially is going. They're still working out the garage location, and he's got to come back for final.
Is that on Lake Road?
Yeah.
That's on Lake Road. Yep.
That's the B&B.
Used to be a B&B, or maybe it's still a B&B. It's just towards the village from the trailer park.
Pope's house?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so here's Pope's house,
Yeah.
but here's the
So
new house
he's-
up
yeah.
on Lake Road.
Yeah, so I just wanted the zoning board to be aware that was going on, so you didn't think anything was circumnavigated or anything.
Whereabouts is that?
If you're headed
Right after White
out of
Birch.
town on Lake Road, just
Yeah.
before White Birch,
Okay.
there's just a driveway that goes down. You might not even know it's down there.
It's across from where the sheriff sits.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, across from the water,
Yeah.
across from the water department.
Meeting in 2 weeks, Kevin, or?
On the 11th, yes. You're going to have a pole barn. Someone's asking for a 0-foot setback from the road right away, and it's within the corner clearances. Trying to think, there's 2 other applications too over there sitting next door. I think there's also a 6-foot fence coming your way, and then one other one.
Okay,
You should have at least 3 applications.
okay. All right, anything else for tonight?
If anyone has any questions that you want to get to the attorney, just send them. If you don't want, to go through me, you can send them to TJ, or just if you need Matthew's email, just ask. We can get it to you.
Okay. All right, the motion to adjourn. Steve, Lynn,
Second.
everybody's in favor. It's unanimous. All right, thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
That was a good